Well, welcome back to the Economy Wellbeing Podcast. My One of my favorite people on Turtle Island is Tammy Naponse. And Tammy, you and I met at the hunt camp last fall in Atikameksheng Anishnawbek, or Whitefish Lake territory. And I met your brother Mike, and but he was distracting me from hearing you teach the little ones how to do moose calling. And here we are involved in this awesome project, helping to re-engender traditional knowledge and teachings of the grandfathers and grandmothers to the little ones in Atikameksheng, near Sudbury. So thank you for joining uh, in this podcast, all focused on well-being. And I thought we would talk about your knowledge and all the traditions you're trying to now carry forward to the little ones,
Mm.
which has been our focus of this awesome project called the QIP, or the Quality Improvement Project, or we'll get into our new name, the real name, which is really our children, our teachers, and we want to. We're actually working on a pretty awesome aspirational project to create a new curriculum that helps the little ones understand the land. And you're such a land-based person, so welcome, and let's just go and see where this takes us in the next half
Awesome.
hour.
Awesome. Well, miigwech, Mark, for inviting me to be part of your wonderful, wonderful podcast. And it's nice to be on the other side of the table for two different reasons and chasing you around the bush last year and wondering who you were and what you were doing at my hunt camp and why you were talking to my brother so
Yeah,
much.
who is this white guy showing up at a hunt camp and he
Yeah.
can't even use his GPS to get there? Like, geez.
And I didn't even know why you were there and who you were, what you were there for. And I just wanted my brother to come over and listen to me talk for a while instead of listening to you talk. But in all honesty, it was the best. It was the best opportunity to meet you because you got to see me in a different light, in a way that I was meant to be there. I wasn't meant there to be chasing you around or anything like that. I just wanted to know why you were talking to my brother so much, and would you give him back to me because I need him right now. Oh, so yeah, this week is a big week for our community. It's our traditional harvest week, and we're on day one of setup, and I get pretty excited about this harvest camp because it's in our traditional territory. We're not on in the community. We're in our traditional harvesting area, which is located north of Sudbury.
About an
And
hour and a half north in the middle of
yeah,
somewhere.
so it's called the 700 road, what we're going down, and it's traditionally been a part of our ancestors' traditional hunting territory, our harvesting territory. Our ancestors lived up in that area, and through the years after the treaty was signed, our families were all dislocated and back pushed into the and into the reservation system. And
Right.
so when they did that, our families lost connection with the North. So we lost connection to our traditional territories where we were harvesting our moose, where we were trapping. And there's been a few families that have stayed up there, Mark. And I'm so thankful that they've stayed there, that they've kept the culture, our locations of where our families, that knowledge is being retained. And this project here has such a vital importance because if we don't, this project brings is all about the early years 0 to 6, and we know that that is the most important time of a child's development. It's the most important time of a family's it's a creation of a family, and when we're creating a family, we have to remember who came before us, and those ancestors that are out there. We didn't forget about them, we just didn't know how to connect with them. So about 20 years ago, my auntie told me, she says, I called her, I was mad, I was pissed right off. I wanted to know, why is these provincial parks have so much friggin' rights, and why aren't we going out there? Why aren't we stopping the parks from taking all our land, auntie? She says, Tammy, settle down, settle down. Quit getting so angry and so pissed off. And why don't you go and find out where your grandfather came from? And
Ooh.
if you concentrate on that, maybe you'll learn something more instead of being mad at everybody else all the time. And I went, whoa, that was a
Well,
pretty big reflection, Auntie. Like I was pretty upset. Um, but that was the beginning of my journey to find Scotia Lake. And Scotia Lake is where traditionally my grandfather, Mike Naponse, who is my great grandfather, that was where his trap line was. And he harvested in that area with two other of our community members, and most likely a lot more other people, not just them.
Hmm.
But that's the stories that I've been able to capture. And if I don't know where I come from, how am I going to know where I'm going, and how am I going to know what I've lost? So my mom always pushed me and said, Tammy, you got to know where you came from. You got to know where your ancestors came from. You got to get off the reserve. You're not going to get to learn or do anything. You're not going to be able to harvest and be able to preserve what your grandparents knew and what your ancestors were trying to achieve by just hanging out on the reserve. You got to get off the res.
Wow. So, so we're tomorrow is the national holiday for truth and reconciliation. What
Yes.
what are you feeling is your truth, and how do you envision the future of your children and your grandchildren and the reconciliation of the trauma that you endured and getting back to the land as a teacher? I,
Wow. That's a really loaded question, Mark.
I know it's deep, but that's what I do
That
in
is
this
like so
podcast.
deep, and it's like I wasn't prepared for that one. But I'll tell you what
I
I do know
I
is
warned
that
you.
this right here,
There you
this
go.
here is what it is for me.
Wait a minute, the
And
good life paddle, the good life. There you go.
yes,
And with
and
your
this
beautiful Atikameksheng logo of like the trillium, or I don't even know what that means. That's a
that
beautiful.
is the trillium.
And of
This
course, purple is the color of wisdom. So,
This is a remake of an original logo that was created by my good long lost. I don't even. I guess we're related. But he's passed on, gone over to the spirit world. His name is Cecil Shabanaquit, and thank you for bringing attention to that, because Cecil was the original creator of this, and it
wow.
was black and white. And over the years, we got technology came along, and we wanted to brighten things up. So this was recreated, I think, in the early 2000s, and that's when we were originally called Whitefish Lake Indian Reserve number 6. Then we went from Whitefish Lake Indian Reserve number 6 when we signed the treaty with a big X, with a big X.
Yeah,
We didn't actually sign it,
we
but
didn't
well,
put it. We
somebody
didn't
says
even
we
put the
signed it,
X on. Yeah, we didn't have the quill.
right? So that then became Whitefish Lake First Nation, and then we became Atikameksheng Anishnawbek. And this paddle to me represents the history of our people, who I am. It says Minopid Modzawin, and Minopid Modzawin means the good life.
The good life.
And for me, this paddle represents all of where I've been, where I'm going. There's signatures on here of other youth
Mm,
who I've paddled with, who I've taught how to do. My biggest thing is to get children out on the land and teach them the safety of the land, and to be able to trust themselves, to be able to go out there on their own, but to be safe. And this was a teaching about canoe safety. It was a canoe rescue opportunity where I was able to go out with I think there was 10 or 12 youth from the Serpent River area, and we went and occupied a provincial park north of Elliott Lake for a few days and harvested out on the land, and went and just learned how to love each other, be with each other, document different types of species they were learning about through technology. We brought in the GPS tagging system that we
yeah.
wanted to. We also are going to bring to Atikameksheng to teach the children. So that's the technology that we're hoping that is going to help our young people learn how to connect with the land, but also document it, because that's the piece our children are needing to do and learn, that how important it is to document these stories and these spaces and these locations for our next generations, and but also to show where our families were prior to today, so they can learn about where those animals are, and those, so we could feed ourselves, and also so we can be connected to our ancestors.
Can
And to
you
me,
remind
that's well-being.
that is well-being? Can you remind us like the beauty of when you first told me about your basically place name mapping, which is what the Inuit, when I was working with them in 2003, the Inukshuks point to places on the land. They have specific like names, like the great, the Great Lake with Great Inland Char, like it's very
Mhm.
specific. So you have the same traditions of place naming. Can you,
So we have we I laugh at sometimes at myself. I say we my generation walks with a broken Anishinaabe wind because we speak a
Mm.
lot about locations and places of where we are going by what they look like, oh, over the hill there, by that, that lake there, the one with the big bay. Well, when we think about what the words are in Anishinaabe, when that would have been one long word and we would have known exactly what we were talking about. So one of our lakes is called Panage, and that is historically been one of our villages. Our people fished there. We've probably been there for probably over hundreds, 200s, 300 years, because I can go back to about 300 years. I could probably find our documentation that puts us on this in that lake. So
Wow.
the lake, I can't say the name because I don't have that gift of my Anishinaabe win, but I know the story. And the story says that the translation of the name of the lake is the big lake before the big water. So the
Wow.
big water is Lake Huron.
You're on. Right. Right.
We're the big lake before the big water. So that by canoe would have taken them 5 days to get there. By car, it takes us 40 minutes.
That's right.
So we're placed in between Killarney Park, the Spanish River, on their Windy Provincial Park is north of us, Windy Lake Provincial Park. So we have multiple provincial parks. And like I said in the beginning, that those things really agitated me. I was really upset. Why aren't we getting some of our land back? In the end, this legacy of lands ended up protecting our communities in those harvest areas, but
Yeah.
it hasn't protected some of our animals from being sprayed by the spray, to manage the forestry that's happening up in the north. That forest, that when they're going to do their reforestation after they've cut all of that, they have to go and they spray that.
That Roundup, that nasty stuff that's killing us all. Yeah. Wow.
So the best thing we could do is educate our kids. I'm going to go back this week. I'm going to talk about the spray. Where did they spray last? Let's look at the maps. Are we going into any of the areas? Because it's really vitally important that we know that, because we don't even know what the effects are, but we know that we know the moose are eating it. We know the moose are going to eat the trees. They have to eat. And you can't tell me you warned the moose that the moose were going, you told them we're spraying this week. You guys got to move over to the other side of the lake. You didn't tell that. They didn't do that. Can't
So,
warn them.
so tell me like what little Tammy at 5 years old would tell a young whatever Jeanette at hunt camp coming up this weekend.
If I was a little girl coming to hunt camp today,
Hmm.
or
Looking
when I
back
was
on your
5,
life and you
if I was 5 coming to hunt camp today,
remembering the games you played.
I'd
At,
say, let's go. Come on, hurry up. Let's go. There's a
let's
sand pit
go.
over here. There's a sand pit over here. There's some rocks over there. I seen some logs laying down. And we'd be making tea. We'd be making shelters. We'd be making all kinds of little trails in the sand pit, because there's a beautiful sand pit there. And that's what we're going to hopefully play with the kids this week. Is we're going to play World. World is a game that I've asked some other people in the field in the education that work with children. Have you guys ever played this game? And I explained the game to them, and it's not a game that I've heard of other people playing. We call it World, and it's basically a game that we draw a big circle on the ground and we cut it up into equal pieces, and everybody gets a chunk of the pie, and we play World. And we have a stick. We declare war on somebody. We spin around in a circle. We declare war. I declare war on Mark. If you want to be China, I declare war on China, and I put the stick there. I run as fast as I can, and when you grab the stick, and you got to say stop. So when you grab that stick, everybody has to stop where they are, and then you got to shoot the stick at us. And if you hit me, you get to take a piece of my world. So now China has taken a piece of Tammy's Atikameksheng, and now you've got. And we play that game until somebody owns the whole world.
And then it ends.
And then it ends. We don't end until somebody's crying.
Sounds like
And then we go, it's okay, you can come in my world. You can
sounds
play.
like a bad colonial.
I think that was a game that was probably handed down to us, a little bit of
I was
colonialism
gonna
there, but
say, sounds like British colonialism to me.
oh,
Anyways.
it was. I think that's exactly what it was. But it was a game that united us when we had nothing else to play with, right? And
Wow.
that's what I love about this project. It's a land-based project. It's about getting our children and our young parents connected to our their aunties and their grandparents. And if their ancestors aren't with us, hopefully we're going to be able to provide them some research on how to find where their families were harvesting, where they lived prior to the treaty is some of the work that I'd like to also show into this project, where we were living all these in our different villages. So the Chimap project in itself is renaming the names of those lakes. So we have lakes. The lake in front of me here is called Simon Lake. So part of the Chimap project is we're going to get the history of why it's called Simon Lake. We're going to put the real name back onto it. It's called Wasakwa. Wasakwa, two different versions of what that word is. I was told it has to do with something small, like a town. And then I was told it's the first light over the hill. So that's the name of our daycare, Wasakwa
Oh,
Children's
that's why it's
Center.
called Wasakwa. And just
And when you come into the community, when you're driving over early in the morning, it is the first light that hits in that little area, and it shines right on the center of the daycare. So I love the name of
so
it. So, but in the non-native terms, they said it was a small. Some of my research says it's a small lake, but that's the lake in front of us called Wasakwa. So
wow.
the lake further down is called McCharles Lake. Well, I can't find the Anishinaabe name for that lake yet, but I know the history was one of our explorers, one of our early surveyors that was doing surveying Sudbury at the time. At post treaty, he decided to give a gift the lake to the city of Sudbury, so therefore they called it McCharles Lake.
Wow.
A gift that they a gift of
Hey, a gift, thank you,
yeah.
Charles or Scotia or Spanish or
So my goal is to be able to rename, give the original names back, and
Mhm.
that by giving those names back, Mark, it also gives our it gives it spirit when we name something with in our
Thank
language.
you. Because I've learned that language is law and that of course words are powerful. They have a truth and a frequency of truth to them. Can
Yeah.
we talk about like the spirit of this project in part? My passion has been the word education,
Yes.
which actually from the Latin means to draw forth what's already within you. Can you talk
Yeah.
about what we're what we hope to achieve here to, the challenges with our education system? And our
Absolutely.
children are growing up not knowing who they are, what prayer they were born into. As the Cree would say, every child born is born into a prayer from a
Hmm.
prayer. And then that notion of, we all have a kind of a spirit animal. You and I have talked about that. Um,
Absolutely.
Having our little ones at the early age begin to understand, right, that deep truth of what, and that their education journey now is a journey of discovery of like, who am I? Why am I here?
It's such a beautiful thought to think about our children and how they're connected to their name and to their spirit of how that gives them their spirit and how where it came from, if it came from an elder, if it came from an auntie, that name giver was somebody who has been gifted with a teaching and a skill to be able to give that family spirit of who they are and where they come from, and it connects them to their ancestors, but it also connects them to who they are. Mine is Beneshi, Musqua Beneshikwe, which was gifted to me by my mother-in-law through a ceremony. She went out and fasted on the land. When she did that, she already knew what my name was going to be. Because of you see, like I'm all over the place. I'm a bird. I go everywhere. So when I was gifted the name, it was like, oh, thank God! It's like it's okay. I can be that person and go all over and drop off little bits of medicine and knowledge, or pick it up and bring it someplace else. So that's how I live. I feel like I'm living my true sense of my
Wow.
identity and my name. That's what I have to do. I'm like a little messenger chirping
You're
around
like
all over the
you're
place.
like a hummingbird of love.
Yeah. So it's like when you realize what your name is and how so so that walks with me and it shapes who I am. And this project is about helping our children, our young families, 0 to 6, connect with the elders and their spirit of getting those ceremonies completed, finding that elder within the community or another space to be able to find out who they are, and they can follow that pathway that our education system isn't giving it to them. So when they leave our early learning spaces, they're going to hopefully have their names, went through a walking out ceremony, or have participated in some drum circles, been able to listen to some stories about where their ancestors come from. And that's going to give them that sense of identity, that sense of ability to know where they come from, bringing our community stronger and closer together. So we're going to have a stronger future for the next 7 generations.
What do you feel that process is? If if and of course it's forgive me if I've misinterpreted, but if a young teenager has their vision quest
Mm.
experience going fasting on the land and all that and given their spirit name, what what happens for that 0 to 6 year old age cohort, like in terms of this development process? What do you feel is?
For when that older person goes out on the land and fasts.
I'm imagining if you're a 13-year-old, it would have been a normal protocol to, right, have
Yeah.
this kind of naming ceremony, being on, going, doing the fast, doing the, whatever. But for the young ones, what do you see as, what's the curriculum, let's shall we say, lack of a better word,
For the young
for
ones,
their for
being out
their
there.
formation, for their preparation when they're going to then be that teenager going through like
Oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. Okay, so it's living that good life. It's
there it is.
it's really believing in that good life and doing those offerings and understanding that the tobacco, teaching children about when we go out berry picking, very, very beautiful, simple, beautiful process, offering that tobacco to
Mhm.
Mother Earth and letting them know that Miigwech, thank you for growing this beautiful strawberry. We're going to pick from this strawberry. We're going to bring it home and we're going to make some jam with it. And we're going to sit and we're going to clean them together. And
Mhm.
we're going to take care of that strawberry because that strawberry is giving us nutrients, and we're going to teach that very, very, very young. And that is part of an interesting conversation when you about consent. It takes
Cons-
it this is where children learn about very, very important teachings that last a lifetime. So when we're laying that tobacco down, we're thanking creation and creator for giving us this gift, but we're also asking to pick that berry. And
with
that,
the tobacco offering as
yes,
a miigwech or thank you to the
and
light.
that offering is a reciprocal relationship you're having with the
Mm,
plant and Mother Earth, because we're giving something back. Or as Anishinaabe people, we just can't take and take and take. We have to give something back. We're taught that to give. When you take, you got to give something back, and that offering of tobacco is a request and a gift. You're
we're
requesting and you're gifting at the same time.
so beautiful. It's breaking that cycle like we're accustomed to in economics of just take, consume, hoard. Uh, there's no limit to how much wealth and materialism you can consume, and it's totally incongruent with our nature.
Absolutely. And it's so heartbreaking when we learn about what we've lost, because our generation today, they don't even know what they've lost, because my generation was just trying to figure out what we were losing. I never picked cranberries growing up. I knew they existed. I knew where they were, but I never went picking them. I never really knew the importance of them. In the latest film of Darlene Naponse, her documentary, she shows a young family picking cranberries, and in the end of that, they embrace each other. Well, what was happening was they were embraced because that young woman could not pick the berries that her grandmother took her to pick. So she was
Mm,
experiencing a loss. When I watch the film, I get so emotional because
wow.
to see that transference of be gone. And she knows it now. She's now in her 20s, this young woman. So she was in a young person in her under 10 years old picking that. And now here she was going back to that, and it's gone. So they
Wow.
don't even know so these years 0 to 6 aren't going to even know what they lost because they're parents didn't know it. So it's up to us in this generation. I don't want to say how old I am, but
Let's
we're in
not
our
say how old
50s.
we are.
I was going to say it. I'm in my 50s. It's up to us to be able to harvest, go back into our memories and remember where we were taken as our aunties took us to pick berries. Go back and put an offering down and thank our aunties. Connect with that auntie and say thank you for taking me here to pick berries. And you got to keep going back. You got to keep going
So,
back.
so part of the spirit of TRC is going back to the land. The land will heal us, remind us of who we are.
Yes. So thank you for asking that and bringing me back to why I kept going on a rant about the land, because when we put it the education system currently, we do a lot of awareness about what's happened on Truth and Reconciliation and on Orange Shirt Day, and I'm really honored to have been a part of the ceremonies and the awareness. We've come so far in this awareness that we've put our children into some more trauma,
Mm,
and that when the children are at school on the third on September 30th, they're reliving that trauma
that
through a
trauma.
good multi generations and multi generations. So if they didn't get it at home from their parents, they're getting it at the school system, and now they're getting it in a place that where they're not getting the
Whoa,
support.
that's
They're not getting
powerful.
the
That's
not only that, Mark, our non-native families are also experiencing trauma by understanding: Am I the descendant
um,
of a priest? Am
oh
I the
yeah.
descendant of a nun who worked in these residential schools?
Am I a son of a father who ran a convent who was responsible for some of those schools? How am I responsible?
And
How
how
can
are
I
we going
say
to
I did?
help you understand your reconciliation with your own spirit and your own family's legacy and our family's legacy? How do we connect that?
Yeah,
Paddle my canoe.
we paddle canoe. We go back to Outward Bound like you did. I mean, it's beautiful because I'm a forester, so I know the joy of sitting hugging a tree, or but yeah, wow, it's what you just said is so powerful because in a way we kind of re-traumatize, don't we? Like, how do we
We
move beyond
are.
this? Because we're all treaty people. We're
Exactly.
all on Turtle Island. It's a beautiful, it's paradise in front of us, and we have all trauma. Like,
It's we're all carrying it. It's how do we unpack it and put it away in a really nice place
mhm,
and say, okay, this happened. We need to move forward, but we're going to move forward in a good way. We're not forgetting about it. We're just going to put it in a place that we're going to put it, either celebrate it that we've
yeah,
moved away from it, because I really believe that September 30th needs to start turning into a different type of a feeling and of a celebration for this generation, so they can start seeing that your aunties are hurt. We're sad, yeah,
we're
because they're
sad.
aunties, but we got to be able to show that that pride of what we lost is coming back, and it's coming back through the
Yeah,
harvesting the moose. It's coming back from going goose hunting. It's coming back from children dancing, the revival of these dresses, these women dancing in jingle dresses and the strap dance. These are things that I never knew about growing up, that I never thought that would be part of our massive amount of a communal healing, and it
right.
is. I'm
So
watching my nephews build their regalias up with their peers, not being gifted a regalia. They're building them together. They're swapping items. They're helping each other. My daughter was gifted a jingle dress. She was struggling to make it. One of her peers gifted it her. So that ceremonial pieces are happening with these are young people in their late teens, early 20s. They're getting it. They got
like
it. They got it.
like your brother Mike's 16-year-old son who I saw at the powwow and in his beautiful regalia and just seeing that 16-year-old going, wow, making his own regalia. What a beautiful. So in
They're our teachers.
the last 5 minutes, I'm going to put you on the spot because
Okay.
you blew me away when I was with you in February for the first time. And it's well that we actually recognize we're in the
You
same
actually
space.
were. I'm always actually knew what I was, who you were.
Yeah, but I can put you in a spot because I know, and you don't have to share this because it's. But I think for the youth who listen to this,
Mhm.
when I asked you when we draw something, we take a piece of paper and we draw our vision on it, or we write whatever, a document, and
Mm.
we take it to ceremony. When I asked you, how would you take this vision of a child care center, and you drew the image, and I said, so Tammy, how would you take this to your protocol, to your ceremony? And you said, I know exactly what I have to do. Can you describe what
What I
needs
did?
what you did, and so that other young ones and teenagers might go, I know what I have to do when I write an essay or when I draw an image of the future.
Well, I'm glad you asked that because as I sit here with this and I'm driving back from harvest camp and I'm thinking in my head of what I need for the rest of the week. And I went out there 2 days ago. Ceremony, when we were growing up, it was hard because it was long. And now at this age, ceremony for me, it starts and it takes a few days. So when that conversation happened, I took that paper and I traveled with it and I asked you, did I get from you and Paula?
Mm-hmm.
He's, he's gave me something. What did you give me?
Well, you what we did is you said the three of us have to put our hand on this paper,
Yes, yes.
and you knew exactly. Remember, you said, and Paula said, I don't think Tammy's ever been asked. And I said, well, I'm asking because I know about the pipe ceremony and I know enough that of its power and the importance of asking the ancestors for their guidance. And you knew exactly what to do.
And I took it back to my center.
And you made it.
It needed to be in the place of the children. And when it's in the space of the children, it carried that spirit of them. And I was no longer walking for Tammy. I was walking for the children of the community.
Mm,
And so when I took it and I added the pieces of the community children's spirit into it of their toys, there were some items of their toys that I added to it from the center. And I took that birch bark that I went to my brother's logging site and I added all those items, my tobacco, some sage, and items from some cedar and some other children's items from the center. I sat that there for a while and I let it sit and I walked through that next couple of days. And then when Saturday came, I didn't know what I was going to do and how I was going to do this and what I needed to do. And I just let spirit take me because when you connect to not, we're, when we were told that when we walk with spirit first, spirit will take you where you need to be and you'll always be in the right place at the right time.
mm.
And so I allowed the creator, my ancestors, to just take me where I need to be and let me do the work I need to do because I can't do this forever, but I need to do this now. And if I'm going to make a change, I need to do it the right way, and it's got to start with spirit, and it's got to start through this offering. So I came home and I added some more food to it, some fish. I had fish in my car. I went down to the a space in our community that we call halfways. And this space that we call halfways is very important. And I don't know why we call it halfways because I don't know where it's halfways to where. But I know that it's a pretty important place because our ancestors traveled through this spot, going to the Hudson Bay Post, going to the big water, to the big lake. There was no way you had to go through here. So all of our ancestors have traveled through here. And that's all I could think about. And the other side of this was a lake called Fly Lake. And on the other side of that lake is where my sister down the road through spirit is has been working really hard at reviving the wild rice.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
This rice has been planting for probably almost 10 years now. So I offered that down to the creator and to our ancestors and I asked, for guidance and to put people in the right place at the right time to do the work that the children need to get our curriculum for our land-based work that
Mhm.
we need to do to reunite us as children, adults, elders, to be able to set the path for the next 7 generations. And so when I finished that, I burnt it and I laid it out there on the land and left it. But I still wasn't done. I still wasn't done. I knew I had more to do. So I went home. Then I didn't know what I was going to do, but I went home. And then I ended up at my mom's. So I sat there with my mom, didn't talk about what I was doing. And my niece wanted me to do something with her. And I said, "You want me to do something with you? Well, come on, let's go. Get in the car." And I don't usually do a lot with her. So when I did that, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Kit." She gets in the car and she's like, "Oh my God, you smell like Uncle Mike." I said, "It's gonna be a good ride, my girl. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go."
It's gonna...
I said, "I don't know where we're going, but if I got one thing we got to do first." And she says, "What's that?" I said, "We got to go feed some eagles." She's like, "Oh, okay." So we went to a little spot down the street from where I did my offering. And when I got there, it was amazing. I just looked over. I said, "See, there he is waiting for us."
And you showed me that video. Wow.
And I said, "Thea, you don't even know what I've done, but when you do this work, they're gonna the ancestors are gonna show you that they're there and they're listening and they're watching you." So that what I just did before I seen you, I know you don't know what I was doing, but you're all a part of this. This is
Yeah.
all a big part of this. So that guy has been waiting to be fed because now he's showing me I'm listening. You're doing the right work. You keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about nothing else. Give me that fish. So I went out, I put the fish out there, and I just knew what I had to do. And that
Wow.
was it.
That was that beautiful.
Mark, guess what? The rice is up.
What?
They harvested rice.
No, I was gonna ask you about wild rice earlier. I was like, I can't believe you like tied this all together. Wow.
They harvested rice. This year is the
For the
first
first
time they've
time.
harvested rice.
Wow. Well, Tammy, thank you. Which that is the end of our 30-minute podcast. And thank you for
Bringing it back around.
pulling it all back to wild rice and
Yeah. And
just trusting.
that is the good life. That
That,
is Minipid Modswin. And today I'm going to go and do something similar. I don't know what, but I've got my medicines. I got my fish ready, and I'm not know where I'm going, but I got to go somewhere. I got to go and finish getting ready for the map. I'm going to pick up the map, getting my little things charged up, and then I'm going to go do another count of gear, pick up a couple extra sleeping bags for a couple of our mentors up there because I slept with them last night. They needed some extra blankets, so I'm going to go do that. But it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good year for Atikameksheng.
you are a
We're getting
champion of
stronger and
minimum
stronger.
once a win.
Mm.
Miigwech, my friend.
Which, to you too.
Miigwech.